Sunrise Interviews is brought to you by Valley Strong Credit Union.
Welcome back. This has been a very uncertain time for parents and children alike, especially with the school year around the corner and children of all ages may be experiencing anxiety. Joining us once again for parenting during the pandemic is Jessica Burzloff, a licensed marriage and family therapist. Now, Jessica, thank you so much for joining us, first of all, but how can parents recognize if their children are having anxiety?
So the first thing to really pay attention to is obviously their behavior. But while adults might seem nervous or anxious or worried, kids tend to act out in different ways, particularly younger kids. So what we see as tantruming and defiance is often actually anxiety that's just masquerading as anger and defiance.
Well, these kids are stuck at home all day, every day, as we know. What are some strategies or tips that parents can do to speak with their children, talk with them, and see if this is really anxiety?
So with younger children, you're going to approach it slightly differently than with older children. So for younger children, the name of the game really is co-regulation. And what that means is if you notice that your child is tantruming more, is more defiant, has more, just melts down a lot easier. If they're a little kid, then I think you can kind of guess that there's some emotional dysregulation happening, whether it's anxiety or sadness about missing their friends or worry about what's coming up. So co-regulation is really the name of the game. And what that means is you as the parent need to be calm and share that calm with them, hold them, hug them, take deep breaths together. That really does a lot to help bring them back to regulation. With older kids, you can initiate those conversations and just ask, what are some of your thoughts about the coming up school year? Are you missing your friends? What kinds of things are you thinking about, to kind of root around and figure out what is going on in their head and maybe what they're thinking.
This is such an unprecedented time, as we know, and kids are missing out on that friendship factor, on, being able to be around other people. What are some things that parents can do to make it feel like these kids aren't so alone during this?
So last week we talked a lot about utilizing social media and Zoom and some of these platforms to increase socialization. So I would definitely recommend utilizing that. Also, if you have people that you feel comfortable socializing with in public, outdoors, with masks and staying 6 feet away, if your kids are old enough to manage that. But really, a lot of it is just about helping them to understand that this is temporary, that this situation we all find ourselves in will come to an end at some point, and that we're all in this together. And sometimes it's okay just to let your kids know that you're struggling too, that this is hard for you and you miss your friends and your colleagues and your family as well. And sometimes the best thing we can do for our children as parents is just to normalize and join with them in kind of recognizing that this situation is not very much fun.
Well, and I love that point right there, because we're all struggling with this in our own ways, and there's a certain amount of anxiety for people, whether you're 14 or 40. If you're a parent, what's the value, as you said, just sitting down with your kid and saying, hey, look, this is hard for me too, and I know how hard it is for you. Let's have an open and honest conversation. Maybe even if your kid's 14, 15, you guys don't have a lot of those.
Right, and that's exactly what I would recommend, because the reality is we don't know, we don't know when this is going to end. We don't know how much worse it's going to get, but we do know that it will end. And sometimes, again, modeling for our children how to take care of ourselves, how to talk these problems out. And I would encourage parents not just to share that they're struggling, although I think that's important, but also to share what they or what you as a parent are doing to help yourself. What do you tell yourself to get through those tough moments? How do you kind of distract yourself or set those fears aside? How do you process them? And if you don't know, as the parent, if you're not handling it well, now's the time to kind of figure that out, to delve into that self-care and figure out what it is that you need to start feeling better so that your kids can learn from you.
Well, Jessica, thank you so much. And